Hello and welcome back to my allotment on this really gorgeous spring-like day right at the end of February. I apologise, it's coming to you a bit late this month. It's been a really busy end to the month, and the birds are singing so loud today because it's just been such a sunny day, and I can see the robins, I can hear the great tits, the blue tits, and they're all around. It's going to be quite a magical evening, I think. So yeah, February on the whole has actually been pretty cold, pretty frosty. We've had some snow, so I haven't been here too much, and yeah, but now it's starting to feel a lot more like spring. It may look like the plot is exactly the same as last month, but when you look closely, there's lots of signs of spring sort of poking up from the ground, lots of flecks of green, fresh leaves coming through, and a few flowers as well. So we'll have a little look around, and I'll tell you about some of my new plans for this year, including a brand new flower border, and yeah, we'll see how everything's doing. So there's lots of bulbs popping up above the ground as well. And as usual, let's start from the gate. Ooh, and work our way down. But first, I just want to check in on my rose. I've got a climbing rose here by my gate that I planted a couple of years ago now. I haven't actually pruned it yet, but look, we've got shoots coming up. February is a good month for pruning your roses. I know we're about to go into March, but that's also a good time to prune your roses. So what I'll be doing is snipping it back a little bit, getting rid of all the foliage so that we don't spread any black spot onto the new growth this year. We've got lots of shoots coming up. And hopefully it'll climb all up and above my gate. Now here's my main view now with that hedge gone. There's also something else missing, can you tell? You might not be able to notice, but in that corner there was a huge sycamore tree in pretty much the same position as that sycamore tree. But much closer, literally behind my plot, and it's now been removed. And I don't take lightly the removal of trees, but the sycamore is an invasive species. Our birds do not really nest in them, and the seeds spread everywhere, and it's a nightmare to remove. It blocked out a lot of light as well, and it wasn't planted there. It just appeared, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's gone, and it's going to make such a difference to my plot. Now if I just turn around and step back and look at this border for a moment, I want to tell you a little bit about my plan for this space that's going to reach all the way up to around here, this border in a bit of a triangle shape. One of the main changes for my plot this year is going to be a brand new flower border that's going to be behind me, beneath the hedge, and it's an area that I wanted to develop for the last few years, but last year it got a bit neglected, a little bit weedy, so it definitely needs doing now, and I have a reason to as well. So in February this year my grandmother actually passed away, so I thought that this border would be a great commemoration to her, so I'm going to put some roses in there, the Mary Rose, and we'll have lots of blues because that was her favourite colour. So we're thinking forget-me-nots and lots of Nepeta, things like that. So yeah, watch this space. It's going to develop really well in the next month or so. It needs a lot of work at the moment because there's a lot of brambles and plants in there that I'm not really keen on keeping, so be a bit of a shuffle around. We've actually got lots of little tete-a-tete miniature daffodils blooming at the moment. But look at all those little miniature daffodils in the border. They've really started to naturalise here now. I planted them years and years ago, probably 4 years ago, and they're really spreading, but as you can see we've got lots of brambles and things to work with before I plant this space up. Hello little daffodils. That's such a delight to see. And look, next door we've got some tulips. These are a really dark variety. They don't always flower anymore because they've been in for so many years, and they smell so sweet. I'm going to cut some to take them home, I think. And look behind that, a gorgeous white and yellow primrose. I just love that sort of buttery yellow in spring, that combination. I really feel for anyone that's still under lots of snow, by the way. If you're in Canada or somewhere like that, I'm thinking of you guys. And look what's appeared down by the pond. We've got lots of primroses, really sweet little colour, with a miniature daffodil there just coming up as well. The pond itself, well, I haven't really tidied around it yet. That's on the to-do list. Take away all of the old the fern fronds that are going into the pond. Try and make it a little bit more enticing. Take away all that dead material, as the frogs may be around in the next few weeks. They haven't laid spawn for a little while, but they still visit. I think because my pond's a bit small, they don't really lay here anymore. And as we go down the plot, we come to my blueberries, and I've actually divided them now. So I've only got one in this container, and I've got one in another container just next to it. But look at all the buds on this. And on this table here, we've got my little pot of spring bulbs. The crocus was open earlier, but now that the sun is starting to go down a bit, it's all closed up. But you can see the crocus. This is what are they called? Grape hyacinth is their common name. I can't remember. And also the tulips, the dwarf flowering scented tulips. They're all coming through now. Really cannot wait to see all of these. And moving on from that one, we have... Now, what's in here? I've got the label. Oh, I'm just pulling off the bark from my little table. Oh well, it's going to rot at some point. My petticoat daffodils. I hope they come up okay. My Christmas tree, which I should probably move. And here is my other blueberry that I repotted. Got a video on that coming soon. So that's the one with the really nice bright red stem in a nice new pot that I treated myself to. It is such a lovely evening. I think it's about 5 o'clock now, which just goes to show how much longer the days are now. I'm getting so much more daylight, which is brilliant. One job for March is to tidy up the strawberries and divide those runners so they've got more space, particularly in that patch, because they're a bit crowded, which means you get smaller fruit, which means you have more to pick. So I prefer bigger fruit because they take less time to pick. And obviously my sweet corn bed is still mulched with the sweet corn plants. And we come down to the apple tree, which I finally pruned. You may have watched my video on that. Was out just the other day. Got loads of videos out this last week because the weather's finally improved, so I can actually do some work down here. But look at all of this. We've got hellebores, crocus, daffodils coming up. There's even one in bloom over there. So here is my early variety of rhubarb, timperly early. This will be ready to pick maybe by the end of March, but usually April. We'll see how that one does. Because of the weather and events this month, I'm a little bit behind on some of my winter jobs that I would have got done. I'm catching up now, but one thing that's left for me to do is to cut back my autumn fruiting raspberries. So this is the Joan Jay and Autumn Gold. I only grow autumn fruiting varieties now, and they are the easiest type to prune. So watch this tutorial because it's only going to take a minute. Autumn fruiting varieties, you prune right to the ground, and that's it, you know, just a couple of inches from the ground. I'll give them I'm stuck. I'll give them a bit of a mulch when I've got my hands on some good quality compost to give them a nice feed for the year, but otherwise this is it. And the reason that we cut back the autumn fruiters all the way down to the ground is because autumn fruiting raspberries fruit on the current year's growth. So we'll have lots of new shoots come up this year, and then those are what will fruit around September, August, September, October time this year. So these are now done really, but there is a chance that if you don't prune them, they can actually fruit again. So you could leave one or two, but that might zap some of the energy for the actual fruit that you want in autumn. So, you know, it's worth a try if you want to give it a go, but I prefer to eat mine in autumn and have lots of big juicy fruits then. These canes can make great sticks for anything that you've got climbing that doesn't get too high. They're quite nice because they've got a lot of colour to the stem. Some of them can be a bit prickly, so do mind your hands if you've got a particularly spiny variety. I planted a bunch of tulips around here, ones that I had left over from last year. The colour was that bright pink colour, and some of them have come up and some of them have been eaten. I could see a lot of holes in the last month appearing where obviously a rat or a squirrel has come along and dug them up, but hellebores are still here and looking gorgeous. I've actually ordered a couple more that are due to arrive in the next week or two, because they're just irresistible at this time of the year when there aren't too many flowers about. This, by the way, is what my main variety of rhubarb looks like at this time of the year. So if yours isn't shooting yet, it just means it's not an early variety. You see both of these have not even shot up yet, but I'll still be picking that in April. It will just go nuts in the next month or two. And look what else I found. This is a daffodil, which is still trying to bloom. That one of the rats has obviously dug up and then realised, oh no, that's a toxic bulb, I don't want to eat that. So he's just tossed it onto the bed in search of more tulips instead. But look, some of them did survive, so hopefully they'll last long enough to bloom. But look, I've got lots of gorgeous crocus. They're really starting to bulk up, because I must have only planted about 10 maybe a few years ago. Again, they're not open yet because the sun's starting to go in, but that yellow is just such a gorgeous colour. I don't really use yellow so much in the summer months. Everything starts to go pink for summer for me. Right at the back of the apple tree, we've got the first daffodil in bloom, and it's always the first one to bloom. I wonder if it bloomed at the same time last year, but it likes to face the sunshine. Down in my wildlife corner, it's still looking a bit messy and a bit dead and untidy, and that's how nature prefers it, to be honest. So I've kept all of the dead material from my herbaceous perennials, and what that does is it provides hibernating material and places to hide for lots of creatures that either hibernate over the winter or just need a bit of shelter from the really harsh cold weather. So I keep everything in place as it was until maybe a couple of weeks time. Early March, mid-March, I'll go around with my secateurs and start snipping everything back, tidying it away so we can see all of that fresh new green growth from the hardy geraniums and everything else that's here that's still in a bit of a slumber from winter. But when you take a close look, you can see there are lots of shoots appearing, lots of fresh new green growth, and soon we'll have buds and then we'll have flowers. So it's really exciting because it looks a mess and dead now, but give it another month or two and it's going to be full of life with my lupins and foxgloves. Oh, I can't wait. And the forget-me-not as well. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. Let's have a close look at what's appearing already, because I can already see a few shoots appearing. There's a big hole there where another rodent has been digging for bulbs, but we've got lots of forget-me-not here. Here's my oregano, and that is just sprouting. Can you see? Just got some new growth down there. Here we have the Origeron caravanskianus. That's the daisy-like flower that everybody asks me about, and I'll soon be cutting back all of this deadness, ready for all of that fresh green growth. Hey look, lupins are coming. They're still quite tiny at the moment. These are one of my favourites for watching the bees pollinate them, and also the foxgloves. I love looking at the foxgloves when the bees are around. This grass is my quaking grass that looks like little hanging fishtails. In between my stepping stones we've got lots and lots of forget-me-not. It's going to be a carpet of blue in April, May, and I will be dividing and moving some of this up into my new commemorative border for Grandma. We've got a great big foxglove there. I think that's the white one. That's probably self-seeded everywhere. Ooh, we've also got the rose campion. Lovely silvery blue foliage and a nice bright pink magenta flower. Doesn't last for very long. You've got to deadhead it a lot if you want it to bloom longer. But these feel really, really soft and velvety. And you know that your plants are quite hardy to cold weather if they've got slightly furry leaves. We've got a bit of a rubbish looking lavender back here. This needs to come out of the wildlife corner because it's not the ideal growing conditions. It did get quite shady down here before we opened up that bottom hedge, so it might be a bit better now, but it's definitely not hot dry sun. So we'll be moving that soon. And here my little chimnea that lives under the apple tree, it broke a little bit more, so I've just moved this down here to make a nice little hidey hole for any frogs, toads, anything that wants a little bit of shade and shelter. We've also got signs of my Aquilegia that didn't bloom last year for some reason. I hope it does this year. And back to my hellebores, the darker colour. Again, I'm sorry I don't know the name, but the new varieties that I've bought are going to be quite similar in colour because I really like the dark pink tones. And I've got a single flower that's coming that's going to have variegated foliage, and a similar one to this that's going to be quite double, so lots of ruffles. Oh no, this stem's flopping over. Ooh, is that another Aquilegia? Very nice. So I might cut these back. They're not really salvageable. What you can do is float them in water to make like a nice display, but it'll probably be best just to deadhead those. My salad bed, it's just got a bit of chard there remaining now, but down in this bottom corner I've got so much wood debris and hedging material to sort out or let it stay there in the corner as a bit of a wildlife feature. I'll be reusing some of the sticks for bean supports. Yeah, it's quite a lot there because I have been doing some more hedging. But oh my gosh, look, I've got an amazing view. Well, you've seen this view before, but it's just so great to have that sycamore out of the way so I can have more light in here. And here's the plot from the bottom end near the shed. One of the main jobs that I haven't done yet, and I'd usually get done in February, but because of the weather I didn't, is to mulch my beds. I'm following the no-dig gardening principles, so this time of the year, whilst the beds are really empty, it's a great time to lay down some mulch. I'll be applying a layer of compost an inch or so thick to feed the soil, feed all those microorganisms and insect life, to then nourish my plants that I want to grow. So I need to place an order and get that spread within the next week or two. If I go down to my trellis, I've got the rose here, the same rose as what's up by the gate, and this has got lots of buds on. I did actually give this one a prune, so I removed some of the weaker growth, and this one's growing nice and horizontal now. It's arching over, so we get lots of, look at all those, lots of buds and flowers and shoots. So it seems we're going to have lots of roses this year. towards the middle of the trellis, this is my clematis, and because of the group that my clematis is, it means I can actually prune it now. Now, not all clematises are like that. There are many different groups, and you have to know exactly which one it is you have to know when you can prune it. But look at all those buds. It's shooting already. Now, I know that I can prune this to about knee high, and then it will shoot up and flower late summer. So it's actually time for me to do that, because I haven't done it yet, and I should do it in February. So I'll be cutting this to about the height of my knee, but just above a bud. So perhaps there. That's a bit too high though, so I might take it a little bit lower. Or perhaps if I do go higher, I might get blooms earlier and more thick coverage. I don't know, we shall see. Further along we've got the honeysuckle. That's also bursting from its buds now. That's going to cover a good section of this later in the year. And then, oh gosh, look, I've been waiting for months, but they're here. The bells of my winter beauty clematis are open. There's not many of them because I've only planted it last year. But look at that, isn't it beautiful? I've seen a few bees around. Haven't seen them go near this yet, but I bet they did. And there's a few more here, look, down at the end. I really can't wait to watch this fill in my trellis and provide some evergreen coverage with the leaves and those gorgeous flowers. Now, the seating area is actually turned into a little bit of a buffet. I don't want to call it a buffet, it's not food. I've got lots of material here that I've been tidying, and I've left it out, and can you tell why? This is all possible nesting material for birds, and although I haven't trimmed all of those sticks down yet, it's a little bit of an area for the wildlife to come and pinch and take whatever they need if they want to use it for their nest building. Because another job that I did manage to tick off is to get all of my nest boxes up, and also I cleaned out this one up here ready for the blue tits that I've seen around. So hopefully it won't be long before we hear some tiny cheeps of the little birds. I'm not going to go over the beds because there's not really anything in them. Although in this one we do have some forget-me-not that I've left to later move into the bed up at the top, the new flower border. But if I just spin around, you can see I've been quite busy on this hedge. Down there's lots of material I need to pick up. And tomorrow, because it's still February, I'm going to cut back that around there so it's not shading my tree polytunnel as much. I've just bought a fancy little pole saw thing to have a go at that. But down here, all those daffodils are coming up now, as well as the miniature ones. These ones take a little while longer because they're not in as much sunshine as the other side of the plot. The garlic is coming on great. I gave this a bit of a weed the other day, just hoed in between all of those rows. They've come up so well in the last month, haven't they? Despite all of the snow and the frost. You know, the frost would have helped those bulbs split into multiple cloves. And then at this end, this is the elephant garlic, so that's going to be much bigger but milder in flavour. There we go, that one's come up a lot more. Let's go up to my dahlia borders, where I've got some great big foxgloves there that have self-seeded themselves. They're going to be quite tall. They're probably going to need staking when they actually bloom. But if you look closely, we've got the wallflowers looking a bit scraggly. Hopefully they'll bloom still. The cheerfulness daffodils that I planted in November time. And down on this side, look, oh yes, we've got lots of buds on these wallflowers. Oh, I can't wait to see these bloom. New flower for me. But look at all those daffs. They're going to smell amazing. Oh yeah, I should probably put these back inside the polytunnel. it was getting quite hot in there, so I brought out the broad beans and my foxgloves, and these actually need a bit of water. They feel quite thin and they really need planting because they're getting quite big now. So yeah, I brought these out for a bit of fresh air. The wind helps strengthen the roots and just to give them a bit of fresh air really. So these are my foxgloves, the ones that were a gift from the Chatsworth team when I visited for my birthday, when I was lucky to be able to visit, and I got them as tiny little seedlings, and now look at them. I've potted them on and they're growing really, really well. These are the apricot colour, and these I have planned for the new border at the entrance as well. Inside the polytunnel it's all much the same. It's a mess. I'm not afraid to show you my mess because this is reality. We've got my peat-free compost that I use for my blueberries. I've put these plants in here just for shelter from the wind and the snow that we had. They've been there for a little while now, but look at the peas. That's amazing. They've grown so much. Oh my god, I need to get these in the ground. So this is the pea called Meteor. I'm actually tempted to plant them in the polytunnel because I know the birds would absolutely love to eat all of that. The pigeons in particular. You will find you get sort of like an algae on the top of your soil around this time of the year when it's a bit damp. I also really need to clean the polytunnel. That's another job to do. But yes, everything's growing really well. As I say, you don't need to worry about that. That's just normal. And we've also got some Nigella. And this is going to be a gorgeous blue colour. Again, that's going to go into the new border because she loved blue. So that'll be really nice, and hopefully it'll self-seed everywhere, so it'll come back next year and I won't have to sow them. And lots more of the Origeron as well. So yeah, much the same in there, but soon I'm going to have a big tidy and get ready because it's going to be time to sow a lot more seeds soon. So here we are at the very end of February 2021. There's lots of exciting plans for this year and lots of excitement for spring. There's going to be so much more colour in the next couple of months. Well, I've had to put my coat on because it's starting to get a little bit cold now. The sun is starting to go down, but it's 5:30 and it's still light. I'm still on the plot and it's just amazing. You know, these longer days, they really do make such a difference to your mood and your mental health. And, you know, I could get here after work now and potter around for a little bit if I wanted to. And, the new job is going really, really well, by the way. I actually got a promotion the other week, so, I'm really, really enjoying it. But yeah, in terms of next month, it's going to be a busy one as things start to ramp up for spring. Might be a bit more seed sowing, but still not too much in the way of vegetables. Most of mine will be at the end of March and into April probably. But we've got the beds to mulch, that new border to prepare and then plant. There's going to be a lot more flowers and signs of spring. I really cannot wait. So I hope you'll join me. Until then, I'm sure I'll see you in another video real soon. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.